The problem with automation inside of Pro Tools is that it makes it kind of hard to keep working. It makes it hard to mix because once you have automated something, it fights back if you try to change it. But I have found the fix and I want to share it with you. Hello, my name is Malcolm Owen-Flood and I teach audio things here on YouTube. So if you like that sort of thing, please do subscribe. And I want to show you the problem with automation in Pro Tools, but more importantly, how to fix it. First off, look at this session. There is automation everywhere. All of these squiggly lines, all these dots, those are automation changes. And I'll give you the context of how I ran into this problem. I was mixing the song, a song called Villain by Darrian Gerard, and great tune, loving the song, mixing it, but essentially, the mix just didn't turn out the way I wanted. And I decided after a certain point that I just wanted to start over. But I didn't want to start from scratch. I just wanted to kind of rebalance it. I knew that the automation changes I had made were right. So making the guitars quieter in the verses compared to the choruses, for example. I wanted to keep that, but I wanted to adjust overall volumes. Essentially, I wanted to be back to starting with adjusting the faders, but have those micro changes in between parts still retained. So essentially keep my automation, but be able to move the volume. And to show you what happens is if I try and increase the volume on this keys bus where there is this volume automation, it looks like I've done it, but as soon as I click play, watch what happens right here. It jumps back because there's automation written. So it's reading this always. Once you've written automation, your volume faders kind of become useless. I'll show you that one more way. This vocal bus here. As soon as I move it, you can see this little arrow pops up down here. And that is showing that, hey, you've moved it above where it is automated to, or if I go down, below where it is automated to. And as soon as I click play, it jumps right back to where it was automated to, which I mean isn't wrong. It's exactly what it should be doing, but it's frustrating if you want to just be able to bump your vocal a little bit louder, a little bit quieter, or like in my example, start from scratch, where I could just start grabbing faders and rebalance the whole mix without losing all the automation I had already written. And that led me to make this discovery, which is the trim feature inside of Pro Tools, which I'm so excited about. So what is the trim feature? The trim feature is something that used to only be in like Pro Tools HD, or now what I would call Pro Tools Ultimate. I don't actually know when it got added to Pro Tools Studio, which is what I have. It's like such a good feature. I knew it existed because I used to work at a studio that had Pro Tools HD and I had all those fancy features. And trim was something I used all the time. And it's something I had to learn to live without when I went solo and didn't buy an HD rig. So I didn't know they had added it, and I kind of wish I knew that they had. I need to get some updates from those guys about when new features come out, it seems. So what happens is that instead of it yanking back down, you can go to where it says auto for your automation selection, click that, and down at the bottom, there's a button called trim. And you can see that my fader went to 0 and it turned gold. And what that is essentially doing is creating a new volume fader on top of your automation. Oh, if I up this by 2 dB, the vocal gets louder by 2 dB, but globally. So the automation curve under it still happens. Let's head back to our other track here and let's go find our vocal. And essentially right here, it is ducking vocals, and we're getting back loud again, and then we're ducking again. And when we turn on the trim mode, it didn't actually get overall loud. I'll turn off trim, and our volume's at negative 8.8 right here. And when I turn on trim, it says 0, but it's really important to know that we didn't just jump up 8 dBs there. It didn't get louder at all. It's just now a global fader where our audio is still negative 8.8, but if I up this by, let's say, 2 dB, we're now at negative 6.8. We've just gone louder 2 dB. So it's only adjusting the volume what we change our trim fader. It's not a huge lift right by turning it on. So what happens if I up it by 8.8 dB, now essentially our new volume is 0 dB because we went from being down negative 8.8 and we just trimmed up 8.8. So the result is unity 0. And that is true of there. But when we go to this part where we were at, turn off trim again, negative 6.8, now it has gone up 8.8 dB because of the trim feature. So all of these automation changes are still happening. We're just making a global adjustment to that track. So all the underlying stuff still happens. It lets me just go back to mixing from scratch. So what I can do, hold Option, click the Automation tab, click Trim. I just turned it off by accident. Do it again, turn it on. Now all the tracks have gold faders. And I could just start mixing the song again without it getting yanked around. I can now do that. And it stayed down rather than just jumping back to follow the automation, even though the automation is still happening. So super handy feature. It might be a little more advanced than some of you need, but it will come a time where you automate something and then you're just like, oh, why does it keep fighting back? This is the solution. So glad I have it again. And it let me remix the song and get it exactly where I wanted. I'm super happy with how it turned out. Shout out to Darrian Gerard and her song Villain, which should be released by the time this video is out. Go check her out. Great tune, great song, and I'm super happy with the mix as well. So yeah, quick tip, hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you in the next one. There is another video coming up for you right here. Adios, bye.